Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Get real.
You all ready for this? Dun 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 dun.
No.
Y'all,
Just
stop.
stop. A sham. Welcome to DBL. Happy Tuesday, everybody.
Yes. Hey.
Spring is in the air on this set, except not outside.
No, it's cold out.
It's not cold.
No, it's
just
rainy.
Rainy.
It's okay, y'all.
What's wrong? I
It's
kinda
not
like
raining.
it rainy. It's raining. You can smell it. I just walked in.
I got a little damp. I was damp.
Yeah, and it smell, I kind of liked it. So
Okay,
spring.
okay.
All right, we started off great as always. The fallout continues from our openings. No, I'm just kidding. From Will Smith's Oscar slap, the Academy said it's opening a formal review and will explore further actions and consequences. Meantime, Will posted an apology to Chris Rock on Instagram. Will said violence is in all of its forms is poisonous and destructive. My behavior at last night's Academy Awards was unacceptable and inexcusable. I would like to publicly apologize to you, Chris. I was out of line and I was wrong. I'm embarrassed and my actions were not indicative of the man I want to be. I appreciate that apology and I actually like the way it was worded. So I appreciate Will's apology. Where you guys stand? A little too late, right on time, where are we at?
I think if he would have issued that apology right after the slap took place, it would have seemed very disingenuous. When people were saying he apologized, everyone's like, but he didn't apologize to Chris Rock. And I really do believe that he meant that feeling against him. I just think that it went too far. And now that he's had time to think about it, you're hearing this.
Well, I just worry that in the time that he had to think about it, what has that done to Chris Rock? Like in terms of just the impact on just his career. Every time he posts, every time he goes anywhere, every time he's doing a stand-up show, some yahoo in the audience is going to bring this up for the next decade. Like it's something that will forever stay with him. It'll be when we all pass away, when he passes away, and they have the CNN celebrity montage. This will be part of it. This is a major event, and I don't know if Instagram apologies are where we are at this point. I don't know what we do, but for the impact that this is going to have on both of their lives and their careers and how the public views them, how their children view them, it's going to. I don't know. We're going to have to watch it play out, but I don't know if an Instagram apology is enough for me.
How about quickly, Tori, before you give your opinion, Jada also posted something too, and I believe we have that post right there. This is a season for healing, and I'm here for it. Did you kind of get that?
I will say about Will Smith's apology, I like the way it was worded. I will agree with you on that. But I liked what you said to us earlier, in which I immediately thought, if he wins Best Actor, which I 1,000% thought he was going to, he's going to have to address this then. And I thought he would apologize to Chris Rock then. And to me, he went out of his way to not apologize to Chris Rock. So had this been in the acceptance speech, being like, what I just did was 100% wrong, Chris, I publicly am embarrassed. So he did it on a big platform because he smacked him on a big platform. That would have been a more appropriate. Now, is this well-written apology? 1,000%. It addressed everything. Why he was mad about the disease, what he publicly apologized to Chris, and that he's a work in progress and that he'll work on himself. But Al's right. This is a pop culture moment that will go down in history in the top 5 of craziest live moments on television.
I know we have to move on, but what would the real life impact be if this happened at a wedding? If somebody walked up to your spouse and smacked them in front of your grandparents,
speech, right?
Like when you're at the altar.
I mean, that would be
is an apology going to be enough 2 days later?
Yeah, I can't say that I'm unfamiliar with a moment like that.
What happened?
It wasn't my moment, so I'm not going to get all the way into it, but it does forever change the course of that relationship. And it also changes who can be in the room, when, why, who can be, and that's public in your life because it's such a big event.
Right, that's your Oscars.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't my wedding, so I can't. Well, I'm just saying, I've seen it, and it doesn't go off well.
Yeah. Well, let's get to this beat. More and more people are speaking out about Will's actions, including his own mother. Caroline Smith told local news in Philadelphia. Was it West Philadelphia? Is that where he was born and raised?
No, yes, he was born and raised there. They don't live there anymore.
Okay, I was just
That's
joking
the other
around.
version of the song.
So she's obviously in Philadelphia. She said that Will is a very even person. She's never seen him go off before. She said that this was the first time in his lifetime she's ever seen him do that. Meantime, Richard Williams spoke out, telling NBC News that the Williams family does not condone hitting anyone else unless it's in self-defense. And stars like Howard Stern and Charlamagne the God also reacted to the incident. Howard called it a sign of great mental illness when you can't control your impulses. And Charlamagne said there is something way deeper going on inside of Will that we do not know about.
Of course.
I want to agree with that last comment because I think it's a little bit more personal. We don't know what's going on. We haven't heard from Chris Rock.
Right.
We've heard from everybody in the Smith family, but we haven't heard from Chris Rock, which makes me think there's something maybe a little bit deeper.
Maybe. And also, just, you know, he's released a memoir, Will Smith, very open about being physically abused by his father. He had a very difficult growing up childhood. And what he says in the memoir, and to our friend of the show, Nichelle Turner, in an interview where he was crying, is I never protected my mom. And so a lot of people think that this was a manifestation of, he feels he has to be the protector of black women and fill in that gap. He's made that very clear, that this was the culmination of all of that, and he sort of went there and came from a traumatic experience of growing up, which is more like a mental illness.
I don't know about that.
What were you going to say, Erica? You had a reaction.
Erica.
Yeah, you know, I think anytime we hear about people who are like, they're always the example, they're very even keel, they always say the right thing, they do the right thing, the expectation is so high, it's also not indicative of a human. You know, you have to realize that and I'm not saying this to condone anyone's behavior, but there is a bottling effect that always ends up in an explosion. And I don't know, it could have a multitude of factors. I am not a psychologist. I don't know the inner workings of Will Smith's head. You could read the book, you can pontificate about all of these different things, but ultimately there is a cocktail, if you will, of experiences that can lead to a moment like this. Was Chris Rock even the person that should have gotten the impact of that explosion? That's a question. Was that really misdirected anger? That's a question. Was it the culmination of every single thing that has happened over the past couple of years? And I've been talking about this a lot. We are really underestimating the mental health impact of what being locked down for 2 years has done to us as a society. I have seen so many people who I have reunited with after the lockdown, and they are not the person that I knew. I'm not the person that I knew going into the lockdown. So I think that we're in a place where everybody is super on edge. Nothing is a constant. Everything is a variable. When you don't even know if you can go outside tomorrow, that's a variable that we have never had. It's unprecedented. So the things that we're seeing in this moment are very unprecedented. They seem crazy, they seem maniacal, they seem off-hinge, but do we have any other precedents for this?
I mean, Erica, what you said just resonates so much. I was thinking about, well, what was my, Will Smith moment? It was around here, kind of. I was taught to drive by an old black man. That's how I drive, super slow. And I was on a side street where the cars are on both sides. So one car's got to let the other one go. I let this person go, didn't think anything of it. He just flipped me the bird as I was going by after I thought I was being courteous, and I don't know, I felt great that day, but the car was in park, and my girl grabbed but I had one foot out the door, ready to blow everything up. And I don't know why, I've never gotten out of the car with it, but it was just that one day. It was like a Sunday. It wasn't even a crazy day. I don't drink, I wasn't under any, but so I can see it. And I've been saying this on stage to the audiences that I talk to. We need to stop acting like everything's normal, because it's not. Everything's the same, but everything is different, and we have to acknowledge that.
Yeah, and listen, I'm the first one to tell you I have problems with my anger my whole life, right? But it doesn't make me breaking what I'm trying to keep inside, let it out on somebody else. It doesn't make it okay.
Right.
I feel like what a lot of people are doing or hearing, and everyone's chiming in, they're somehow turning this into like a courtroom and trying to defend Will Smith in some way instead of just saying, listen, man, everyone has bad days. What he did was wrong. And that be the end of it. We're diving into psychology and this and that and cultural issues.
But it is a layered incident.
I understand, but at the end of the day, it's wrong.
Oh, 100%.
It's just wrong.
100%.
I don't think that anyone here is disagreeing with that, but I think also what people are doing is tapping into their own experiences. Because when you see something like that play out in front of you, the only thing that you have is your experiences to take from.
Right.
So it's personal.
Right, but let's have some grace when other people do wrong, and let's have grace for everybody that does does wrong. Not just pick a few and say they're going to get back to where they were. We have to have grace for the whole world, right? All right, we'll be right back.
Closed captioning provided by
I'm going to talk about on the noon show. Yeah. Well, I don't want to get into the whole thing, but just where we're at in a society, and I just listen to different things and hear different things, and we're very tribal as people, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't mean to say that in a weird way or take that word out of context, but based on our race, religion, culture, even political stance now, we are segregated into these little groups. And if one person breaks away from that group or disparages someone from a different group, you want that group to defend you. And that goes for all cultures and races and sexualities across the globe. And I feel like everyone wants to be heard. And we have to let people be heard and say their voice. It doesn't mean this is the rule and it's everyone says one thing and everyone has to agree with that. That's never going to happen in today's society, right?
No, I agree that no one is ever going to be agreed with 100%.
Ever.
But, in terms of that, the echo chamber effect is very real. We are very much segmented according to not only it's like it could be race, politics, sexuality could be one thing. It could be race, age. There's always these different demographics. But also another layer to that is not the backlash from outside of your demographic. It's the backlash from within.
Absolutely.
And when we're having this conversation, it's like people are picking, which angle they're choosing to see it from. And again, I think it comes from your level of experience and understanding. But at the end of the day, no, you're not going to have anyone who's going to be 100% right in everyone's eyes. There's always going to be another layer to it. But I think it's very personal. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, and then the way people view you with your opinion, right? People are like, I watch Daily Blast Live because Jeff gives a Republican opinion. I'm not Republican. I ride the line, but then you're kind of put in this box and you expect to be someone that you're not. And I don't know. It goes a lot deeper than what it is. You know what I'm saying? I think just listen. I think him and Chris. All right, we're not going to talk about Will Smith anymore. We're going to talk about Kim Kardashian.
All right, there we go. There we go. I was worried.
Welcome back. Kim Kardashian is walking back her controversial advice that she recently gave to women in business. So earlier this month, Kim told Variety that women need to get their bleep up and work. But she told GMA those comments were taken out of context. Let's watch.
You can build a really successful business off of social media, and you can if you put in a lot of hard work. And it wasn't a blanket statement towards women or to feel like I don't respect the work or think that they don't work hard. I know that they do. So it was taken out of context, but I'm really sorry if it was received that way.
All right. I feel like I'm going to be on the other side of this one. I don't think she needed to walk back those comments. I feel like she offended some people and she got some backlash and she just felt like she needed to apologize. But the message as a whole, not in particular to women, just in people, I think our work ethic is lacking a little bit, and I think we could pick it up.
But I agree with you. I completely agree with you. I think she's also talking a lot about people who think they can be influencers like that, because she took years and years and years to build it, and she was referring to those people who think they can make a TikTok video and go famous and viral. She really was talking.
Do you think she needed to walk those comments back?
The only reason she had to, and it wasn't ethical, because I agree with you, was because of her line of Skims. And honestly, she knows brand purchasing, all of that better than anybody. And if 10% of the people who buy her Skims or were thinking of buying Skims think of Kim Kardashian, and in their mouth there's a bad taste because of that interview, you've automatically lost a new customer. So she's doing this because I think momager Kris Jenner is brilliant about it and knew all he had to say is it was taken out of context, apologize for the way it was received. Not I'm sorry I said it, for the way it was edited and received.
What did she say that was so terrible?
Well, I didn't think of the Skims thing at all. I thought of the fact that the quote, which was and we're on live television, so we have to be careful or at least a little empathetic to this, because this happens a lot. You get a clip of a longer form answer, and then all of a sudden it changes the entire context of what you're really talking about.
The whole tone's different, yeah.
And when with that clip, it made it appear that women who are working 5 jobs, have 4 kids at home, they're single moms, they are working. They're working more in terms of like hours and having no support than Kim Kardashian technically is. I know that she's a very hard worker, but when you say it like that, it kind of puts down all of their efforts and saying you're not successful because you don't work as hard for me or hard as me, when she has all of these resources that are behind her. So I think the way it came off was a giant misstep. If it was in fact the context of social media, I 1,000,000% believe that. I had a falling out with someone over the idea that they didn't understand why I was considered someone who works for social media and they can just post and they don't get that same thing. And I was like, do you understand how many hours?
Yeah, right.
I actually put like how much resource goes behind. The post might look like just a post, but there's like actual work behind it. So I do agree with that sentiment in that context.
Yeah, and people who don't think Tom Brady's great too, they're haters as well. Coming up on DBL.
There's Sharon. Hi,
Betty
Sharon.
White's home is up for sale. We've got an inside look at the beachfront property. Coming up next, Rob is a hater. Scumbag.
Primary election season is coming, and that means there will be political ads everywhere you look. And some of those ads will inevitably make outlandish claims. Some Verify viewers emailed us to ask if candidate ads have to tell the truth. So let's verify. Are political ads required to be factual in order to be aired on broadcast television? Our sources are the Federal Communications Commission, the Federal Trade Commission, and University of Minnesota political science professor David Schultz. The rules for political ads are very different than typical consumer products, and we want to be clear up front that the answer to this question is no. Political ads are not required to be factual in order to be aired on broadcast television. In fact, the law allows politicians to say almost whatever they want in a commercial. This is because political ads are regulated by the FCC, which applies just 2 rules. One is that all candidates have the same opportunity to buy commercial time on stations. And 2 is that politicians can say whatever they want. Accuracy is not one of the rules, although TV stations could run a disclaimer explaining the rules before airing an ad. The only consequence for politicians who produce misleading or false ads is in court, and that's only if they defame someone, which is rare and hard to prove.
I think the rationale behind it is what? The idea of saying that candidates get to say what they want, and the voters get to sort of, through the marketplace of ideas, decide what's true, what's false.
That marketplace could also include news stories or fact checks like Verify stories explaining what's true and false. Schultz says you should always read the fine print on an ad to see who is funding it, and do your own research on a candidate to see if what's being claimed is really true. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
Welcome back. Betty White's home is on the market for nearly $8 million. So Betty and her late husband, Alan Ludden, built this 3-story beachfront home, but Alan died shortly after it was completed back in 1981. The home is 3,600 square feet and is located in Carmel, California, 5 hours north of LA. It has 4 bedrooms and 4.5 bathrooms, but the big selling point is the incredible ocean view. I feel like I'm reading a real listing for the house. Here's Betty White's house. It's on the ocean. Do you guys like it? The listing agent called the home, quote, eloquently understated in the spirit of Alan and Betty. Okay.
We can shorten that.
So let me start over. Welcome back to DBL. Here's Betty White's home. It's up for sale. Great views.
I would just be like, I wouldn't say anything. If I was in real estate, I would have so much swag. I'd be like, hey, that's what's up. I'm not walking through the house. I'm like, if you don't want this house, I can't help you. And can we just say on a side note, doesn't it look like the Golden Girls house?
For sure.
Like a 3-story Golden Girls house. If you think about like the flat that was in Florida, it just looks like 3 of those now. It didn't look like that in
Were any of the Golden Girls balling to afford a place like that?
I think all of them did quite well.
Oh, they did?
Well, it was a great show, and it was probably syndicated within their life.
No, I'm talking about the characters.
Oh, no, they weren't all. They were all living together because they didn't have any money. Sorry. No, they were all all roommates because they were trying to save money. Also, sorry, I'm so sorry.
I love you so much.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, they all did.
I'm not saying that kind of
so
thing.
They all do.
sorry.
They were on the show for 30 years. I assume they have a couple bucks.
So sorry. I will also say this to get myself out of this hole, that she and Alan, if you didn't know, had a true love affair. So that house is also built with like an incredible amount of, I don't know if you believe in this, but like really beautiful energy and spirit. So they really were such true love.
And I was going to say something.
Did that help?
You know, honestly,
No.
I make fun of you and Erica and Lindsay for crystals and energy, but you guys have made me turn the corner. I do believe in energy in spaces.
Yeah.
I do believe.
You can feel it.
Yes, I will admit I was a naysayer and I get it now. I think if you're in that house, like you would feel it. Like it was built with love.
Yeah.
Two people that loved each other. I kind of like that.
Which is why it's super important that whoever purchases this home, that they keep the spirit of the home.
Yes.
Because that could easily be, if it weren't Betty White's house, that would easily be something where somebody would come in, purchase it, put a ton of money renovating it,
like tear down almost,
and take away some of that element. So I hope whoever purchases it really keeps a sense of that spirit.
Does you think the Betty White value, would this be a $5 million home had it not been Betty White?
Celebrities' houses always go up because of who lived there before.
Right.
There's a mystique to it, and you can't even quantify it. It's up to sort of the people. How much are you willing to pay for saying I live in Betty White's house?
Yeah.
You know
and
what
all
I mean?
you need is one person. It's almost like any kind of memorabilia almost.
For sure.
You know, if all it has to do is be worth that to one person, and that's what it's worth.
Me and Al were kind of talking at the break. Do you think longevity of life, now we're going to get philosophical.
Let's do
Grab
it.
a drink. Do you think it has anything to do with like the serenity and the peacefulness of coming home every day, watching a sunset every day, being on the ocean every day, being private, and kind of having that time to unwind, right?
Absolutely.
Do you think that? I believe that.
I think that plays a big part into it. I think your home should be your most sacred place. You should always protect the energy that's coming and going. You know, like we had, when we had the break-in, I saged the entire, like from top to bottom, all the way around. I saged the whole neighborhood. I mean, I really poured like a lot of energy and like prayer over that because I felt so violated by someone encroaching into my sacred space, you know?
Yeah, I wish I had that to look at, because I'm sometimes get home and I'm like, is that poop? Is that poop? What is that? I'm not looking at the ocean, you know what I mean? I think I'm aging a couple years with these kids.
But you're looking at the mountains, and that is you have a stunning view of the mountains at sunset, and that can be a really meditative experience for you.
With the kids running back and forth.
Before that, you had your balcony that you go out on Friday, have a couple drinks.
My mini balcony. That was my sanctuary.
Yeah, that was. We've been there. That great balcony.
We jammed it up.
We
on
did.
That 4-foot
Very small.
We'll be right back. All the memories.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
The spike in gas prices has many of us wondering if anything could have been done to prevent it. Social media is filled with claims that the United States was, at one time, energy independent, but due to policy changes is once again relying on imports from other countries. So, has the U.S. ever been energy independent? Let's verify. Our sources are the U.S. Energy Information Administration, Mark Finley, an energy expert at Rice University's Baker Institute, and Marty Parker, a supply chain expert at the University of Georgia. According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, production of petroleum in the United States exceeded demand in 2020. At the same time, the U.S. imported 8.5 million barrels of petroleum a day from other countries, including Russia. Energy expert Mark Finley says, we've reduced our dependence on imports, but some parts of the country still rely on it.
Where the oil is produced and where the gasoline and diesel fuel is refined doesn't always match up with where it's consumed. In some cases, it's cheaper to import it.
Our supply chain expert Marty Parker says petroleum imports have helped the U.S. through supply issues here, including last year's temporary shutdown of Colonial Pipeline.
It makes sense to have relationships with multiple countries, not being completely dependent on any one source of energy.
Even as our supply and exports of petroleum increased, the U.S. never stopped importing it. For the last 70 years, the U.S. has not been energy independent. That claim is false.
Some of you are asking questions about electric vehicles and the new technology. And here at Verify, we respond to you. We saw this claim on our Facebook page saying charging an electric car will cost between $20 and $45 per charge. So we're verifying, does the average electric vehicle cost $45 to charge? Our sources, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, the Department of Energy, and Stan Cross with Southern Alliance for Clean Energy. The Department of Energy estimates the average electric vehicle has a 66 kilowatt per hour battery and can go about 200 miles per full charge. In a study, the DOE surveyed electric vehicle owners' charging habits and found most drivers pay an average of 15 cents per kilowatt hour to charge the battery. That means it costs about 5 cents per mile to drive an electric vehicle.
Charging your EV at home, it's like buying 60 cents a gallon gasoline at the gas station. It's just really, really cheap. And that's part of what makes buying an electric vehicle an economic advantage.
It is true, though, that charging an electric car can cost more than that if drivers use a fast charger. That can cost 3 times more than at-home charging. But studies show most electric vehicle drivers don't usually use fast chargers. So we can verify, no, the average electric vehicle does not cost $45 to charge. If you do the math, it costs about $10 to fully charge an electric vehicle.
Welcome back. Lowering your carbon footprint can increase your home's value. It's time for some DBL home tips presented by American Home Shield. First, metal roofs are not only more durable, an Energy Star certified one can help you control heating and cooling costs throughout the year. Next, replacement windows can increase your curb appeal and make your home more climate controlled. While they may seem costly, you could see a 65% return on your investment. Finally, upgrade your front door. Make sure it's not only durable, but it also fits snug into the frame. This will prevent drafts. An American Home Shield home warranty plan helps cover many things homeowners insurance leaves out, like breakdowns of major components of home systems and appliances, so you can rest easy knowing this is almost over. You're ready for whatever breakdowns strike next. Visit ahs.com to find a plan that's right for you.
Yeah, that was all right. I didn't realize windows were so expensive and so important. Till I've been a comic. I've been living on the road. I didn't know.
Windows are so important.
I didn't know.
But also for drafts, if they're not fitted right, and for noise.
Yeah, we have a big draft coming in. I got to be honest, we got to fix that. We got to put something in there because we have an old 1925 house, and some of it is showing.
It's time for an AHS home warranty plan.
That's right. Thanks, Jeff.
All right. For whatever breakdowns happen next, you could turn to them. See you later.